what's taking place below the surface of the soil is as important as what's going on top.
It's not hundreds of thousands, but it's in the millions. One stumble could cost you a lifetime career that you can't pay back.
Be as organized as you can be, work as hard as you can, and kind of let the chips fall where they're going to fall.
My cousin who committed suicide, he ended up taking his life over the farm. I understand, farming is tough.
It's a lot of work and it's hard, but it's pretty darn rewarding too. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Have the margins ever been tighter?
No, I'd say this year the margin is probably as tight as they've ever been. I think if anything bad was to happen, it would take you to the bottom immediately.
American farmers have had a tough couple of years between bad weather and this trade war with China. Here in the United States, farm bankruptcies are up nearly 24%
The US and China have signed
in just
a partial
the last
trade
year.
deal aimed at easing the 18-month trade conflict between the world's two biggest economies. President Trump and China's vice
Chinese
president
authorities have traced a new deadly virus back to this seafood market
caused by low commodity prices and an inability to sell those products
for its powerful sting in the way it decapitates its prey. This is the first time the world's largest
effort today. I am officially declaring a national emergency.
Wildfires are scorching the West Coast, leaving behind a path of death and destruction.
Extreme weather now and the brutal effects of the derecho that ripped through the Midwest.
That created the ability to see with these mitigations they could depress the curve from that giant
so much that they actually had to put an emergency trigger that stopped trading, and the expectation and fear is that we will see markets.
Banks are overwhelmed, feeding 60% more people than they did this time last year, including 4 in 10
Patrick Grimshaw poured his entire production of milk for the day down the drain. He's done it every day for 3 weeks.
Five years ago, in our research, we would almost never see 300 bushels. I mean, we'd have a plot here, a plot there, but I'll tell you today, it's almost routine. Now the plant breeders have what's called marker-assisted genetics. They have that gene chipper that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every single day of the year. And so that means the genetic potential, it goes up at an incredible rate. And now it becomes trying to manage to achieve that genetic potential.
You can't be the best without using the best stuff. You have to use good products that work if you want to be chasing these kind of yields. I wish I could tell you that high yield is a recipe, like following the cookbook. By gosh, it isn't that way. It is an art form.
In my mid-20s, I bought some tractor trailers and hauled demolition. I was putting money away that I'd never seen before, working up for that day to buy my first tractor. Here we are today, close to 5,000 acres farming. 7 tractors now, all red.
I've already told my kids, do not marry a farmer.
First thing she'll say is, well, we don't have the money.
I really did not know what the stress of farming was until I got a hold of the checkbook and had to start writing out the bills.
We could not do what we do without everybody helping out, and we all understand that.
I started farming when I was 4. I was farming on my own at 14. I took a hiatus for 6 years and went in the Marine Corps after high school. But other than that, this is all I've done.
Going to church camp when I was a kid with my mom, there was always a campfire song that you're supposed to let your light shine.
Well, I'd like to have a damn forest fire.
You know, the National Corn Growers have a yield contest. It shows how high can yield go.
We've been chasing the non-irrigated world record, which is 443.
We're shooting for 400.
We still are shooting for that 400 plus bushel range.
Iowa state record is 445 bushel corn. And I really want to raise 446. You know, Heath and Kelly there, they better bring their A game. I sure would like to beat all three of them, and I would like to beat Kevin Kolb just so I could tease him a little bit, but he's such a good guy and such a good farmer.
We planted corn last year a little bit late, and it turned out really well for us. And the only things I'd say we'd be concerned with planting corn late would be hurricane season right here on the East Coast.
We got about 0.8 of an inch of rain. It was like our seed floated up, but if the seed was actually at 2 inches deep like it should be, you would probably have 2.5 to 3 times the root mass. You know, that's why we run Accomplish and all these other stuff to try to speed it up to get it out of the ground, because that's the battle. The weather was not an issue from April 20th till about May 3rd. And we planted 95% of our crop in those 13 days. It just flew in.
When you get 6.3 inches of rain with cold weather, it really hurts your stand. Right now, we're just trying to stop the bleeding because we've already lost our top yield potential.
There is a whole vast source of nutrients in the soil. And if we can make some of those more available, that has a real value.
There's so much we don't know that's going on in our soil systems. There's so much we can maximize on and take to the next level. And this biocatalyst area is the next big opportunity in ag.
We are kind of making a mistake always worried about the plants. And we need to be worried about the biology of the soil. And if we could take care of the biology of the soil, the plant is secondary. It's what happens when we do a good job with the biology.
Every single grower knows the value of manure. I can go out on this farm right here and I can tell you where 30 years ago the animals used to be, because I can still see the effect. What I like to think of a product like Accomplish as, or Titan, is it's trying to capture the essence of the value that's in that manure. It helps make immobile nutrients more available.
So once you know that story, you then know exactly where that product is acting, and you can better fit it into the system for the growers to maximize response.
As we come on the air, Hurricane Isaias is edging toward the coast, strengthening overnight, in fact, packing winds of 85 miles an hour.
We had a hurricane come in here the other day, raise a good corn crop, and then sad to come in here and watch it laying on the ground the way it is, broke off. But it is what it is. Ain't no changing it.
We are potentially raising the best crop we've ever raised. I hope we catch a rain in the next few days, and then I hope we have some decent sunlight to finish the crop out. Typical farmer, I'm asking for perfection, but if you want to know what I want, that's what I want.
And on the downside, well, here's what I don't want.
Well, we don't want a bad storm. The wind's blowing 60 miles an hour according to the Weather Channel app. We're getting a bit of pea-sized hail.
If you live in the west side of the Des Moines Metro, you might be hearing tornado sirens.
It's not hard to tell where we were chasing the state record. This is the area of the field that was planted at 50,000 that we were pushing really hard. I think it's safe to say the state record's safe for another year. I'm not disappointed I did it. You know, we were trying. So
Mother Nature's still the boss when she wants to be.
We planted a high population to try to take a shot, and it's more susceptible to wind. We thought that we had a shot at something special, and Mother Nature took it. So.
We haven't been getting a lot of rain lately, so we got to start adding water again. So we just got to keep plugging along and see if we can't push this crop a little harder. It's not normal for us to have to replant at the scale we've had to the last couple of years. Normally we only get 1 or 2 events a year, and this year it seemed like we had 1 or 2 events a week.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 46,000. Divide that by, we'll just say 65,000 kernels. That's already at 385. So, yeah, I think we could be, well, we should be really close to the best that we've ever had. You know, we've just about done everything we can do. It's in Mother Nature's hands from here on out.
Here's what I see about the contest winners and a lot of progressive growers, a lot of growers like you're talking to. They're all willing to try and learn.
When did you start using Accomplish?
Oh gosh, we started using Accomplish so long ago I couldn't even tell you when we started. But I'm guessing it's been 10 years.
So we used their Accomplish, and be damned if we didn't do a whole lot better this year than we did the prior year.
So we use Accomplish and Levitate.
Putting Accomplish in furrow, we do that on every acre of corn and soybeans.
We thought then that first year we seen about 15, 20 bushel jump there. You know, we're just seeing every year more and more release of the P&K for us.
And we can tell that by you see a better, more robust plant compared to where we don't use it. We still do plots where we use it and we don't, because we want to make sure we're still getting that repeatability.
The roots with Accomplish and without, if you saw that, you'd never go without. The plant is healthier, the plant is greener, it's bigger, you know, and all that translates out to yield in the end.
"2020's been a bitch. We started out planting corn in water, which, you know, you wouldn't do. It just flooded constantly on the corn, and then, you know, hurricane after hurricane after hurricane, and damn if we ain't got another hurricane knocking on the door. It's another foot race to get the corn in.
I very much wanted to break 357, which was our personal best. We had a tremendous crop out there. You know, the storm just took part of it.
I think we had about 7 inches of rain from July 13th to about August 7th or 8th. We're finally looking good at getting our crop. The temperatures cooled down, but then we got real cloudy. Our top end peaks are not quite what they were, but I mean, we still got a good corn crop.
We have an outside chance at 500 based on our kernel counts. We had a lot of heat this year, so our solar radiation was off the chart. We were seeing a foot growth at rapid growth stage. That's huge. We don't see that normally.
When you see, if it happens, I've got 500, what are you going to do?
We'll be happy, I mean, but it doesn't last that long. I mean, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That's the Marine in me too. You don't get excited, you're just glad you're alive.
In 2020, the Chesapeake area was hit by 6 hurricanes and 2 tropical storms. Despite that, Heath Cuttrell was runner-up in North Carolina with 260 bushels per acre. The derecho was the most destructive thunderstorm in U.S. history, so Kelly Garrett didn't enter the 2020 NCGA contest. Just as he had predicted, Kevin Cobb hit 385 bushels per acre, and he won the national championship in the conventional non-irrigated category. Don Stahl didn't hit 500 bushels, but he was the irrigated national champion with 476, 152 bushels more than the runner-up. We wanted to have interviews at the Commodity Classic. There is no Commodity Classic, so like everybody else in 2020, we're going to settle for a Zoom call.
Let me go get a bottle of liquor.
I think so many people are still stuck in the old way of farming.
It was just a shit year for corn around here, and beans basically the same way.
What made it so tough?
80 inches of water.
You know, I thought we were going to have 75 bushel beans on farm average for everything, dry land and everything. And there were beans that only made like 42 because of the hail. You know, we were so dry early that we couldn't make roots, if that makes sense, make them grow there. So last year I heard of Kevin Kolb. He's whining all the time about wet. This year he's whining all the time about dry. I'm going to get some cheese and mail it to him for his wine. I appreciate that.
Don't mail it, just bring it down, Kelly.
Look at all this gray hair all of a sudden.
We've worked on our fertility forever now for about 10, 12 years. And just all at once the lid come off and the yields just exploded. And that's very motivating. That's pretty exciting when you see that. Do I have any wisdom? I don't know. I just have a lot of self-discipline. I always tell people, you know, that the Marine Corps is the biggest accomplishment of my life. It was something I did when I was 18, and it wasn't about me. And I'd do it again in a minute. In the Marine Corps, we were taught to improvise, adapt, and overcome. So that's how I approach everything. You just keep plugging along, keep trying, never give up.
There's nobody in this world that I know that's more competitive than Kevin Kolb on anything. This year, he has really kind of impressed me because he's not as high-strung.
You know, last year, my cousin committed suicide. When Blake took his life there, it kind of put everything in perspective. I'm looking at his widow, his kids. They don't give a shit about the farm. They want their dad. You know, she wants her husband.
Honest to God, since all this has happened with his cousin, things really have changed. I mean, farming is farming, but family's family.
My great-grandpa, I know he would be super excited about how we farm today and the yields that we're getting today, because back in his day, you know, 40, 50 bushel corn was a big crop.
I love farming. I mean, I wouldn't know where I'd be without it. I still get up every morning excited to go outside and to do what I do. I don't think everybody could say that.
My dad passed away when I was young. Didn't get the opportunity to farm with him. Basically, right out of high school, my grandparents, who I farmed with, they passed away. So the older generation, I never got to farm with really much, and I'm kind of looking forward to farming with the younger generation. I don't know, I'm gonna go until I can't go no more.
The reward is the lifestyle. I produce something that's tangible, and I see that happen, and I see my efforts paying off. I see when I do what I do that I see that the crop responds, and when you harvest and the yields are big, it's very satisfying, very satisfying.
It's been a profession. I knew what I wanted to do when I was 3 years old, pushing toy tractors around. As costly as it is, I'm sure I'll hopefully die doing it.
When you're in the combine and it's a piece of land that you own or that has been passed down through the generations, one of your sons is in the grain cart, everybody's pulling in the same direction, people are joking around on the radio, and you're out there harvesting and the corn is yielding really well, you feel like you're making a good living. That's not like work. I would describe it as a religious experience. And that's when you feel like you're lucky.